Hello and welcome to another edition of the Lynn Lowdown, and today we are joined by Executive Director of Family and Children Resources, Mr. Selvin Chambers. How are you doing?
I'm doing good today. Hope you're doing well, and I'm excited to be here and leading this great organization.
Definitely. Well, we are glad that you are here to just talk about your new position. Talk about your journey and just talk about this new role for you. What was your feeling towards when you got this new role?
Well, my journey in this, I've been working in the nonprofit arena for almost a little over 25 years, and my life's passion is really helping and serving other people. So when this opportunity presented itself, the mission of the organization really fit within my palette and also my moral compass in supporting other people, and the fact that we're supporting youth and families in Lynn and the greater Lynn community. I thought that was more than appropriate for the best place for me to kind of help lend my skill sets to move this 130 some odd year organization forward and into the future.
Can you talk about why nonprofits are so important? Because there's so many nonprofits help so many residents in areas like Lynn, and in just low-income areas or diverse areas. Nonprofits are a big hit with the people as far as need and as far as assistance. Can you just talk about the importance of nonprofits?
Well, nonprofits are really part of the social fabric in this country in general. And I think they were established to make sure that they were able to support the community, in particular for people that really were on, in most cases, the lower economic end of the scale, to find a better pathway for them to kind of maneuver in society. And so the nonprofit arena really plays a major impact in supporting communities in all kinds of communities across the country.
Mm-hmm. And in all your works in nonprofits, what is the most gratifying things for you in all your years of being part of a nonprofit?
I think the thing that's most gratifying is when you see the social impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the work, right? I'm supporting the people. But for me, it's the impact. What do people achieve when they have gone through your organization and came to gain some skill sets or to be supported, and looking at what happens when they no longer need your services. That's for me is looking at the social impact. Are people improving the quality of their life? And so when you see that and you see young people and you see adults achieve because you help provide that opportunity for them, that's the impact I'm talking about. So I get really excited when I see the actual impact that happens when people are supported by nonprofits.
Yeah, definitely. Now you've been in this role for about a month or and some change or so.
I've been in this role for about 4.5 weeks.
So we'll just say a month. When what drew you to the Family and Children Resources Census first?
Well, when you look at the makeup of the community in itself, it's a diverse community. When you look at the mission of the organization to really help, as it talks about in its mission, support youth and families and provide services and support systems for them, that's what really drew me to the organization. And the longstanding history of the organization drew me to it as well. And when I look at it, it's a microcosm of the community I grew up when I grew up in Cambridge and in a very diverse community. So that's one of the things that attracted me.
Now, what are some things that you're planning on working on as you get more familiar with the position, more familiar with the community? What are some things that you're hoping to get going as you embark on this role?
Well, first and foremost is I want to keep my finger on the pulse of the community. So really attending community meetings, meeting with community partners to really get a general understanding what are the needs that are here in Lynn, in the greater Lynn area, and seeing how our community, our organization can impact that, and really focus on the quality improvement of our programs and our broadening our reach. How do we develop a brand identity for the work that we're doing so it has another 130 years to sustain itself in the Lynn community? And so for me, it's just really learning about what the needs are and learning the community in itself.
Definitely. And we're coming off such a crazy 2020 year. And what are some of the things that they've told you that they've had to deal with from the pandemic that's kind of carried over into this year?
Well, I think, like every organization, we had to learn how to pivot, right?
Hmm.
So you go from doing in-person engagement to now having to figure out how do you communicate people in a safe environment, knowing that they're required to practice social distancing. And similar to schools, we had to shut down our facilities, but not stop doing our work. And
Hmm.
so we still have case managers who are going out working with families and working with people. We still have staff members who are still working with teens, but we just had to figure out how to do the work differently. And I think that's no different than any other organization that had to figure out the work has to continue, but how do you pivot and how do you readjust what you're doing to accomplish your goals and also still support people? And I think it was hard, but I think there were some good lessons that were learned through this hard 2020,
Hmm.
which was a very hard year for all of us.
Definitely. Did you find it that the caseworkers had a little the adjustment for the caseworkers because it's so hands-on and the interpersonnel connection and just the face-to-face meeting? Was that an adjustment for them because that they couldn't be face-to-face because so much of their job is interacting face-to-face with their clients?
Yes, and talking to some of the staff, that was a big hindrance, but it took a, it was a it was an organizational shift. But the same way the staff had the shift, you had to really work with the clients to get them to think in a different mindset because a lot of them wanted to be in person.
Hmm.
So again, how do we have Zoom meetings and Zoom visits, and how do we have some in-person visits that are at, socially distanced? And I think it was really getting the people to help navigate both the technology to do that, but also the general understanding, how do we still support that need of the human touch? So it's phone calls, it's getting on your computer or your iPad, and then occasionally it's rolling up to someone's house and standing 20 feet away from them and having a conversation. And so I think it was really teaching the populations that we work with to really figure out how can you still get those service needs met, but do it in a very different way. But I think it just took a little bit of a cultural shift
Hmm.
and getting to show people how this can still happen in a way in a climate that we're in now.
Yeah, definitely. And as we're gearing towards getting back to normalcy a little bit. Folks are getting vaccinated. There's a vaccine clinic in Lynn, people getting vaccinated, and also there was an announcement by the mayor that August 1st is kind of a target date for businesses and organizations to start having folks come back into the office, into the work areas, and just into certain things. So as we're heading towards that, how are you all going to be able to operate as far as allowing people to come into your facility? How are you guys going to work that out as far as bringing
So
back people
interestingly
again?
enough, we just had a brief conversation about, transitioning back into the office.
Hmm.
So over the next 3 weeks, we're actually going to be developing a transition plan. And before we develop that transition plan, we want to make sure we're getting as much feedback as possible from our community partners, from our staff, and from the constituents that we serve, and understanding that we want to make sure that we're following the state guidelines. And so
Hmm.
we're going to take all that information into consideration and have a strategy and a rollout plan that allows people to feel safe. But before people come back in the office, we want to make sure that we're making an informed decision and we're getting as much feedback from both the staff and the population that we serve to make sure that we're meeting the needs and people feel safe coming back into the facilities. And I think it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah, definitely. And as far as donation wise, if people still want to donate stuff to you all, are they able to drop them off, or is it folks could pick? You guys sending folks to pick items up, or how's that going?
Yes, the people can make some donations by going to our website, or they can stop by the office. We have a mail drop box. And so we've seen an increase in donations and support.
Hmm.
And, I think most organizations that have seen that realize that because of the pandemic, people are giving and showing a little bit more empathy for people as well as they always have. But I think the pandemic has really kind of pushed people's desire to want to be even more helpful to
Hmm.
organizations such as ours.
Yeah, definitely. And was there any requests, or did you guys notice anything more being requested by residents, as far as just like items or just some type of resources? Was there any requests for certain things that you guys seen more of?
Well, I believe it or not, I call it the diaper crisis, but I was listening to the staff that they had to do a diaper drive, right? Diapers are, I think it's $90 a month for one child. That's pretty expensive. And so I know that they did do a diaper drive to provide more of those resources for families. We've given out gift cards for food for families as well. And so we've seen an increase in that for people to want to, be able to support their families and feed their families. So there were increases in that area as well.
Is there any specific things that you guys are working on for the for the summer? Any type of program or events or anything, either virtual or in person? Is there something that's in the works right now for the summertime?
Well, we are working on our summer youth employment program, and there were some conversations today about that. I think this summer we'll be employing, I think it's 28 youth this summer. So really planning for that program, and also taking the social distancing and also the state guidelines in consideration for that particular program. And it's just really doing the work a little bit differently. So there were meetings today talking about the summer program for youth.
All right. Mr. Chambers, please let them know if they want to know anything about the Family and Resource Center. Please give them the website, a phone number, who to call, just all the information.
I will give you our telephone number. It's 781-598-5517. If you want to come volunteer, if you want to learn some more information, please feel free to stop by or call, because we do answer the door. We just don't let everybody come in, and we will talk to you at a safe distance. And we're hoping that we'll have an opportunity to be fully opened at some point within the next 8 months, but who knows? It's we got to look at the state's guidelines, but I think it will be much sooner than that. But when I say 8 months, I'm talking about fully blown, where people can move a little bit freer than we have been moving in the past year. But we are working on a plan for us to open within reason for the next several months or so.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Mr. Selvin Chambers of the Family and Children Resource Center. We want to thank him for coming on and giving us all that information, and be sure to visit him, give him a call, send him an email, visit their website as well. They got a lot of stuff going on, and we just want to thank you once again for coming on.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate you.
No problem. You guys have been watching the Lynn Lowdown. I'm your host, Mukala Kabongo. Have a great day.